anime! It's not even real art, Harold. Thanks. Thank you.
Hello everyone, it's me, Jack, from The Bloody Jack Show, and I am back here with another video, and I realized it's been a long ass time since I reviewed anything really relating to movies or anything like that, or I even talked about anything, and since my Loot Crate video, which was last month. Today I thought I'd do something a little different. As you know, if you've kept up with my videos recently, well, of recent months, you'll see that I made a video on my top favorite anime shows, and I thought I'd talk about one of them today. So that's why today I thought it'd be a real fun idea to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or, you know, the first part of it. And if you don't know anything about JoJo, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, allow me to introduce you to the weird and crazy world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here is the history of JoJo. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or JoJo no Kimiyo na Boken, is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Hiroko Araki, and it was originally published in the weekly Shonen Jump from 1987 to 2004, before being transferred to the monthly Seinen magazine Ultra Jump in 2005. The manga is split into 8 parts, each story showing the journey of a new descent of the Joestar bloodline, or someone who is connected to that bloodline in some other way. And the 8 parts of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are in this order: Phantom Blood, Battle Tendency, Stardust Crusaders, Diamond is Unbreakable, Golden Wind, Stone Ocean, Steel Bull Run, and JoJolion. But whereas with the anime, it's a little bit different. With the anime, you've got Phantom Blood, Battle Tendency, then you've got Stardust Crusaders, then you got the second half of Stardust Crusaders, which is Stardust Crusaders Battle in Egypt. Then it's Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, and you've got Part 5, which is coming out very, very soon. But the reason why I talked about that is, again, I am reviewing Part 1 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But carry on with the history. The series has several adaptations from a ton of video games since the SNES, or the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, if you really want to get into the acronym of that. And it got carried on with a few OVA specials, or original video animations, if you really want to do that, which came out in the 90s and some in the early 2000s. A live-action movie, which is based on Part 4, which came out last year and is now available on DVDs. I'll send a link in the description below to Amazon, so you can go get your own copy of that movie on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, or VOD if you want to do any of that. But now there is an ongoing anime series which has started since 2014, and at the moment it's only consisting of parts 1 to 4, like I said earlier: Phantom Blood, Battle Tendency, Stardust Crusaders, Battle in Egypt, and Diamond is Unbreakable. And Part 5 is getting its own anime adaptation, which is coming out in October of this year, and I'm pretty excited with it. It's getting its own anime adaptation, again releasing in October this year, hence why I am reviewing the entire series, starting with Part 1. So I'll start with Part 1, then about a little bit of time later, because I will hold off for it on a little while, because October is coming up, and October is my favourite time of the year, and Halloween will be coming up, and I want to talk about a very small selection of horror movies, because, Halloween's the time for horror, and, I love horror movies, all out and out. But carrying on, that's enough of the history of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now we got to do the plot. Now this is the plot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 Phantom Blood, or just JoJo's Bizarre Adventure to start you off with the anime. Phantom Blood consists of chapters 1 to 44 in the manga series, which is only consisting of 9 episodes in the anime, which are only about 20 minutes. Yeah, not 20 minutes long, like 20 to 27 minutes-ish. I do not know, and I don't want to be exact about that, despite the fact that, yes, I have the DVD of it right here. The manga starts, and the anime both start, in the late 1800s in England, where we follow Jonathan Joestar, who meets his new adopted brother, Dio Brando, who wants to usurp Jonathan as heir to the Joestar family. However, his attempts are thwarted as he resorts to using an ancient stone mask which transforms him into a vampire. Jonathan, with an Italian Hamon master, Will A. Zeppeli, and a former street thug, Robbie E.O. Speedwagon, at his side, must now find a way to stop Dio, using his newly found affinity for the Hamon martial arts, now that Dio's sights are set on nothing less than world domination. That is the basic gist of Phantom Blood. I don't want to talk about it too much, because in order to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is to spoil it. I don't know, most people don't like Phantom Blood. They always say, like, it's the worst one in the series, like it's the worst JoJo part in the entire franchise. Well, I think, personally, it's a good way to start the series off, considering you want to follow the manga correctly and get every single bit of backstory as you can. And also, one thing I forgot to mention in the history about parts 1 through 8, part 7 and part 8 of the manga is still being written to this day with part 8. Part 7 and part 8 are not officially canon in the actual storyline. Part 7 and part 8 are in their own universes. It's an alternate timeline with same characters kind of, but with only minor changes. So I think we've got the whole plot covered and the entire thing around. So now this is going to be the easy part. It's time now to talk about the characters, and have this being the shortest part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, there's not going to be that much for me to talk about. So I only selected a few characters which I believe are actually only worth talking about through this series. Jonathan Joestar we have to start off with, because, you know, he's the main protagonist of the entire franchise. Jonathan Joestar is the son of George Joestar I. I'll explain that in future videos about the other parts of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because it's way more explained in the later parts. Jonathan grew up in the family mansion, which I can only assume is in the countryside of England. It's obvious that Jonathan didn't really grow up with many friends unless you count his pet dog Danny. Jonathan can be a very expressive character. However, sometimes he can easily get himself into trouble, or it could just be someone Dio has sent to kill Jonathan. But in other words, I think Jonathan Joestar is a decent protagonist, even for an anime of this style. Even for this type of anime, like, you're into shonen type animes. If you have no idea what the hell shonen means, I recommend you look it up in a dictionary. Well, or in a translator. So yeah, I give Jonathan Joestar, both thumbs up for decent writing, and in both the subbed and dubbed version of the anime, the voice acting is pretty damn good as well. I ain't gonna lie about that. Also, gotta talk about Dio Brando. Dio Brando is just a bastard. I've seen, like, he's the most diabolical character I've ever seen in anime. I thought characters like Frieza or anyone just like that in anime were bad enough, but Dio is something else. This guy has done so much to do whatever he can to destroy the lives of everyone around him. For example, this is kind of going into spoiler territory as well. He burns Jonathan's dog alive, destroys Jonathan's romance with his crush Arena before their romance have even begun. But that's not all. He also turned himself into a vampire, so he became so much more evil with having his eyes set on world domination. And the way he deals with every situation is pure entertainment to him. And if you don't believe me, just watch a few of the scenes from Phantom Blood, which actually does show you how evil he becomes after he became a vampire. Like, he just wanted to do so much more with his time. This next character I did not have much to talk about. George Joestar, despite being Jonathan's father, he didn't really have any purpose aside from having his life saved by Dio's father, Dario Brando. Then years later, George adopting Dio after Dario's death. And also having George raise Jonathan. All pretty much does in the anime and in the manga is try to raise Jonathan and Dio and then just dies by the hands of Dio. There's not really much for me to talk about George Joestar. Other characters I got to talk about: Arena Pendleton. Just like George Joestar, she doesn't really serve much purpose. All she is the love interest of Jonathan, and just gives him a reason to fight against Dio and save the world. Again, not really much there to talk about a character just as fucking basic as that. Other characters, Speedwagon, Robert E.O. Speedwagon. Speedwagon is a great side character, just like Krillin from Dragon Ball and Mako from Kill la Kill. They do actually serve a really big purpose in this series, being the best friend and backup to the main character whenever they're in peril. So really, it's not much for me to say about. There's not too much for me to say about Speedwagon without going into too much spoiler territory, because yes, Speedwagon is a great character, and he becomes a main part of the JoJo's series during parts 1 and 2. But I will talk about anything else that has something to do with him later in the series. And the final character I want to talk about is Will A. Zeppeli. Zeppeli is the guy whom teaches Jonathan the ways of Hamon, which is actually a huge deal for this series. Zeppeli is pretty much Jonathan's mentor in this series, and not to spoil too much, but Zeppeli is pretty much an Italian version of Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid, so again, not spoiling too much and all that. He's just a mentor. In case you don't know, I know I keep talking about Hamon a little bit. In case you don't know what Hamon actually is, Hamon is... Sorry, my air freshener just went off. Yeah, Hamon is basically a... It's a type of martial arts which gives the user life energy. They're basically just fighting with the power of the sun. So basically, if a vampire gets punched in the face by someone who is a wielder of Hamon, they're basically just taking a ball, like a small section of the sun, directly to the face. Yeah, again, moving away from the lore of the series, because there's way too much for me to cover, even in the lore. The animation I want to talk about, this goes for most animes that I have seen, and I gotta say, the animation is stunning, the character design is pretty damn good, and fun fact, if you don't know this already, but Hiriko was heavily inspired by 80s action stars like Stallone. That's why all the main characters are ripped. They look swole as fuck. Moving on, the music. The soundtrack mainly consists of 80s style Western music, and I actually really enjoy the soundtrack. And the main songs in the soundtrack, I gotta say, are the opening theme of this part, which is called JoJo's Sono Chino Sarame, and listening to it and looking at the visuals perfectly sums up the entire show in a nutshell. The other song that is very recognizable is the ending song, which it should be in every part, but sadly it's only in parts 1 and 2. Roundabout by Yes, which is a really good song. It's really long. I think the way that the song starts off with the guitar goes with the situation to purposely end each episode with a cliffhanger, and it just works. We got the final verdict. I will not spoil the ending. I will not talk about the end, like the final episode of this one. I would like you guys to go and check it out for yourselves. Like, go on Crunchyroll or any other anime streaming website that you use, like any website or app that you use to watch anime on. Like, just use that and go straight ahead. Yeah, the final verdict of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood is a good way to start off a franchise. The story of this part in the storyline is very easy to follow and get people to carry on watching and make their way through the series. So overall, I would give JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood about a 7.5 out of 10, because the series may this part of the story may not be perfect, but it kind of works. Best version to watch of this part, I'd say dubbed, because I mean, you're gonna watch it subbed, then you're just gonna get huge flashbacks of the memes that fucking quickly spawned out of this. Yeah, there's not much for me to talk about. Yeah, I give it my seal of approval on this anime. And yeah, you can follow me on my other social medias now. You can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Twitch. I am on Twitch now, so I can do live streams. I will be starting some live streams at some point soon. I'll be doing a live playthrough of the first Mirror's Edge, because I cannot think of anything else to do at this point, because there are some games I'm currently working on in my own spare time. So yeah, everything on my Twitch page is set up. Like, you can check like when I'm going to do streams or anything like that on Twitch, so go check that out if you like. Follow me on Twitch and come and watch me live stream. You guys can contact me directly on that as well. Also, yeah, follow me on Twitter. You can send me direct messages if you want to request anything or anything like that. Follow me on Instagram if you want. Not really much to say on that. Yeah, I have not got anything else to talk about, so I think that is it, and I will see you guys all in the next video. So yeah, just watch Phantom Blood, go on Crunchyroll or anything like that. Check the links in the descriptions below for the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure live action movie, or go on, I'll send you a link to Crunchyroll as well if you want to make yourself a free account and all that, and just watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on there if you want to watch it subbed. Unfortunately, Crunchyroll does not provide dubbed anime, so if you don't mind watching anime with subtitles, that's the way to watch it, if you prefer that. So yeah, there's not much for me to say. Blah blah blah. Follow me on my social medias, I'll link them in the description below. Stay tuned for my next video, come and watch me live. I'll try and live stream as soon as I can. Yeah, not much for me to say, so see you guys in the next video. Thank you.